Chapter 40. The Breakfast. "And what sort of persons do you expect for breakfast?" said Beauchamp. "A gentleman and a diplomatist." "Then we shall have to wait 2 hours for the gentleman, and 3 for the diplomatist. I shall come back to dessert. Keep me some strawberries, coffee, and cigars. And I will take a cutlet on my way to the chamber." "Do not do anything of the sort, for were the gentleman a Montmorency, and the diplomatist a Metternich, we will breakfast at 11. In the meantime, follow Debray's example, and take a glass of sherry and a biscuit." "Be it so, I will stay. But I must do something to distract my thoughts." "You are like Debray. It seems to me that when the minister is out of spirits, the opposition ought to be joyous. Ah, you do not know with what I am threatened. I shall hear this morning that Monsieur Danglars make a speech at the Chamber of Deputies, and at his wife's this evening I shall hear the tragedy of a peer of France. The devil take the constitutional government. And since we had our choice, as they say, at least, how could we choose that? I understand. You must lay in a stock of hilarity." "Do not run down Monsieur Danglars' speeches," said Debray. "He votes for you, for he belongs to the opposition. Pardieu, that is exactly the worst of all. I am waiting until you send him to speak at the Luxembourg, to laugh at my ease." "My dear friend," said Albert to Beauchamp, "it is plain that the affairs of Spain are settled. For you are most desperately out of humor this morning. Recollect that Parisian gossip has spoken of a marriage between myself and Mademoiselle Eugénie Danglars. I cannot in conscience, therefore, let you run down the speeches of a man who will one day say to me, 'Vicomte, you know I give my daughter 2 millions. Welcome to Chapter 40, everybody, and we are given just a little bitty taste of the mystery at hand of the odd chapter break between 39 and 40. I don't need to remind you because I probably said it yesterday, but for me it was like a week and a half ago that I will read the Robin Buss chapters of this at the conclusion of chapter 40, so I haven't read 39 yet. But here's the clue we have today. Very first line by Beauchamp saying, "And what sort of persons do you expect to breakfast?" is a continuation of his dialogue from the end of chapter 39. This chapter break falls pretty arbitrarily right in the center of the scene. My growing guess at this moment is that this is one of those awkward chapter breaks that they did when compiling the serialized story into a tome for the first time. Maybe even of that initial anonymous translation. But what's transpiring in this scene, a continuation of chapter 39, where if we take a step back for a second and not talk specifically about the characters, though we get more about Danglars today, and confirmation of my suspicion, we're really seeing what the society that Dante was talking about wanting to be introduced to in action. This is the world of Albert that he inhabits. These are his friends. These are the people he sees. These are the people that influence him and that he influences. And it really seems like an interesting counterpart, these scenes particularly, to something like Jane Austen, where so much of those books happen in parlors or salons amongst conversation between family members and marriage prospects and what have you. Like when all the male characters in those books go off to smoke and talk in their own salons, this is what's happening. Granted, Jane Austen was writing a little bit before this novel. I just think it's an interesting counterpart to it. But what was revealed, we definitely get confirmation that Albert's marriage prospect is Danglars' daughter. And the kind of banter back and forth that we saw last chapter continues here between Beauchamp and Debray, as Beauchamp was kind of lamenting having to go and listen to one of Danglars' speeches, going so far even beyond Danglars to make comment of the transformative nature of French government at this time, where that line kind of made me giggle. The The devil take the constitutional government, and since we had our choice, as they say at least, how could we choose that? But Danglars himself seems to be not only someone good with money, but now in a place amongst the government. I don't believe that was information we had previous to this. All we knew before is that he made a fortune. And as we know, if we can take Dante as any example, once you have a fortune, then you have influence. And if you have influence, you can buy your way pretty much anywhere you want to go. So makes sense as to why Danglars found his way into government. And Debray even here saying, if we want to know a little bit about where Danglars stands as far as the government is concerned, as Beauchamp is kind of lamenting the length of Danglars' speeches, Debray says, well, don't be too hard on him. He votes with you. You know, he belongs to the opposition to constitutional government. So you're all on the same side. Quit running him down. Does that mean Danglars is for royalist government? I don't know exactly. I'm obviously not well versed on French politics and government. The length of my research only went so far as Napoleon and the Bourbon monarchy, as was needed for the beginning of this book. Anyway, let us find out what happens in this conversation. The Breakfast is the title of the chapter. My gut is telling me this is just going to be a long conversational chapter. So join me here tomorrow as we see more of what happens. And I hope we get a really satisfying, fulfilling breakfast. Until then, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.